West Ham United look to travel down to the sunny, fingers crossed, South Coast tomorrow as we look to make it 4 wins from 4 in the Premier League after a ropey start to our Premier League season. Southampton with not the best start to the season, and we'll get into that and more in this preview. Firstly, let's introduce our guest tonight, this afternoon, I should say. And first, we've got a special guest today. I'm joined by a Southampton legend, as a Southampton fan has already put in the chat, so I'm going to refer to him as that. Francis Benali joins us this afternoon. Franny, how are you?
Hey Jake, yeah, very good. Nice to see you again, and good to join Oscar and Budgie as well. Looking forward to tomorrow's game, as I'm sure we all are. But I'm sure we'll have a bit of a discussion about it. But we need our Saints to turn things around a little bit because our form hasn't been great recently. But I'm keeping well. It's nice to join you on the chat, and yeah, hope you've been keeping well since we last met.
No, thank you very much. And a lot of people watching this give me stick for the amount of cruises we go on. This man goes on a few more than we do, just to let you know. But also to join Franny as a Southampton fan, we've got Oscar. Oscar, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you, Jake. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. And supporting me with the West Ham cause is Budgie. Budgie, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Jake. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you very much, Franny. In terms of Southampton, then brought in a load of players in the summer transfer window. What do you think's not quite gone right at the start of this season?
I think it's maybe the consistency that we were looking for. I mean, we had a dreadful run-in at the back end of last season, which wasn't great. There's been a clear sort of policy on the new signings that have come into the club over the summer. And there's some real young, exciting talent, and it'd be interesting maybe to get Oscar's views on what players have impressed him as well. But there's some real young talent amongst that, and I think results. I think when you're putting quite a few youngsters in the side, and as good as they are and as impressive as they've been, sometimes I think that consistency can be a little bit of a struggle to get. And clearly, recent results haven't been great for the Saints. We're without a win in the last 4 now. And because of that, and because of some heavy defeats in the past under Ralph Hasenhüttl's time as manager, there's talk and speculation about his position in the job. And I guess it's a results business. So clearly, with each game that goes by without the side picking up a win, there's going to be that talk and that speculation around his position, but I think there won't or shouldn't maybe be any real knee-jerk reaction. I'd be surprised if there was, but you just never know, do you? If we've got 3 games this week, starting with West Ham tomorrow, and then we play Bournemouth midweek, and then Arsenal at home next Sunday. So there's 3 big games in a week where we need to be picking up some points somewhere.
Yeah, Oscar, just coming off the back of what Franny said there. Obviously, as I said, you brought in a lot of players who've impressed you, and do you think it's just going to be a little bit of a work in progress of how many players you brought in and unknown players as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. We brought in a huge amount of young players. I think I have to say Lavia impressed me. He played extremely well against Chelsea, and Bella Kotchap both played well. Bella Kotchap, I don't think he's been as good at the start of the season as he has. Oh, sorry, the other way around. I don't think he's been as good as he was recently. But we clearly got something quite good there. I think, yeah, as Franny said, it's just lack of consistency. But that's natural, and you've got to expect that when you bring in that many young players. But I think one thing that I really think we did need was a clinical finisher, and I still don't think we have one of those. And I think that's where it's been slightly going wrong this season. I know in the Everton game especially, we had just so many chances, a good couple of golden chances, that as a Premier League level striker, you really need to be finishing. And Shea Adams and Adam Armstrong, the work they do off the ball is excellent, and they're excellent support players, but they're not the type of striker who's going to get you 20 goals in the Premier League. And that was what was so good about Shea Adams and Danny Ings, that Danny Ings provided the goals, and Shea Adams didn't. There wasn't as much pressure on him to score the goals. But that's really where I think it's been going wrong this season so far.
Fair enough. Budgie, just before we come on to West Ham, what have you made of Southampton's start to the season?
Pretty much the same as I do most. I mean, they, they do show moments of brilliance, and they've got some incredible players in their squad. And the thing is, results haven't been going for them. I don't think it's so much the play. I don't think that's the major issue. I think the major issue is finishing. I think that's where Southampton have been struggling this year. And had some decent goals, but I think they've had a bit of struggle with the finishing, and their defence could do with being a bit tighter at times. But, it's pretty much a similar start to the season. That's really, to be fair.
Yeah. I think it's two teams that almost came unstuck towards the back end of last season and have kind of carried that on into the start of this season, because and we've started to pick it up a little bit, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to head into the chat and see who we've got. Firstly, James, hope you Jake, always check out your channel when Saints play West Ham. Great football channel. Looking forward to hearing from your Saints legend. Not many loyal, decent, charitable Premier League players like him anymore. Well, there we go. Thank you very much for that, James. I'm going to scroll down in the chat. Lawrence, hope you are all the way over in the US of A. Hope you are keeping well. Worried to hear about the centre-back injuries. The small crisis in terms of centre-backs at West Ham. We'll talk about that in just a second. Another big question comes from Phil, and Francis comes to you. Can Francis come out of retirement for one game to join our bench if there are any injuries? Because we're running short on defenders at the moment.
Well, I'm struggling. As lovely as a comment and thought as that is, guys. I was at a football event, a charity event at St George's Park yesterday, and my calf went in the third small-sided game we were playing. So I'm added to that injury list. Maybe not quite as bad as West Ham's, but I think those days are long behind me.
Very good. Mike, hope your afternoon chats from sunny lands are lovely. Mike, very nice. Hope you're having a nice holiday, mate. Everybody else in the chat, hope you are all keeping well. In terms of West Ham's start to the season, Franny, I said it there. It's been two similar sides that have almost had a really, really poor start to the season. I can see this being quite an even game, especially with Southampton at home.
Well, in some ways, yes, I'd agree, Jake. But I think coming into the game, West Ham, as you know only too well, are coming into this on the back of some victories and picking up points, and that breeds confidence. And even those games in European football, you're just building that momentum, and there's that difficulty of putting teams out and keeping players fit and things like that. But when your team's winning, regardless of the competition, that breeds that confidence within the group. And I think coming into tomorrow's game, West Ham will certainly be relishing it. They'll realise that Southampton are not an easy pushover, clearly, and they'll want to get back to winning ways. So in many ways, it will set it up as a really intriguing game, this one. I've got to back my team, clearly, to bounce back. We need to. And because of that, I think that's going to put some added pressure on Ralph and the team. And I hope that the supporters stay a little bit patient, because, as we know, West Ham are a good side, albeit with some injuries. Just some real attacking flair that you do have now. Maybe we've got to try and maximise somehow those, changes that might be in the team, given that you've played midweek sort of quite recently as well.
Yeah, that's a massive part of it. And Oscar, you kind of got our number last year. I think we played you 3 times, including the cup, and we only managed to get a point out of you, and you knocked us out of the FA Cup. You seem to have our number last year. We've got defensive injuries. Do you think that kind of levels out as well with Southampton's poor start to the season?
Yeah, I think so. But as Franny said, I mean, form has a major part to play in these games. We're in a very poor run of form, and I think you said you have 4 wins on the trot, and you got that. Sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Skamaka up front. He's in some pretty good form, but I think. Well, last week I heard that Saints' defence were one of the best that handled Haaland, one of the best in the season, which, considering they scored 4, sounds a bit weird, but apparently he didn't look as dangerous as he has done. So maybe that was that's something to sort of take away from that game and to build on. But I think we really need a result. I think the manager needs a result as well, because I know a lot of fans are getting on his back on social media and things, and I'm not. I like Arsenal. I like the way we play, and I think it's an intriguing style that we play our football. But I mean, we really do need at least a point, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah. Budgie, we've got these players here now. We've got, and attacking wise, we're okay. We have got plenty of options there, and I think it's time for Moyes to kind of just open up the floodgates now. Let's maybe start at top or change things. Let's have Paqueta in there, Scamacca. Let's get Scamacca to service, because Scamacca's going to score a lot of goals. He scored 4 and 5 in Europe, 2 already in the Premier League. I think he's got. Let's just get him to service, because we know, every other time, I think he's going to put it in the back of the net. He's a clinical striker. We just need to click and gel, which we've began to do in the last few weeks.
We have started picking the run of football that we were in last season. We're kind of looking at games now and knowing where we have to be. We got to do, and having Scamacca and Paqueta behind him, I think he's going to be paying dividends before the end of this season. I mean, already he's assisted him twice with lovely through balls. And, it's refreshing for me to be able to look at our front line and not see what we saw last year. I mean, now he's starting more to utilise the players. I think he's feeling they're a little more ready Premier League than he first believed. And it's good to see, the combination of Scamacca and Paqueta working out. That's very important for us. Without that, I think Scamacca may struggle a little bit with the service. I'm not saying that we haven't got anybody else that can put a ball to him, because clearly we have. But I think Paqueta and he are on very wavelength. They play a very similar sort of. They play with a similar attitude to the game, and I think it works well together. So I'm really looking for that to work for us.
Yeah. We've brought in a lot of quality in this window. We spent a lot more than we expected to in terms of West Ham. How do you think Hasenhüttl and Southampton will try and maintain players like Paqueta and Scamacca, as we've just mentioned there, Franny, because they are very good players.
Yeah, you've got some real abundance of attacking threats, haven't you? Really, it's going to be a difficult one for Saints tomorrow. Oscar touched on sort of like how we can sort of struggle to score goals and take chances when they've come along in some recent games. I look at also the fact that we haven't kept a clean sheet since we played Arsenal last season. So, we haven't had a clean sheet this season. I think quite often those foundations that you can build on is quite often being strong defensively. So I think we need to tighten up a little bit, not just as a back 3-5-4, whatever we're going to be playing, including the goalkeeper, Gavin Bazunu, but as a team. I think collectively we need to be harder to break down and conceding goals. So as a former defender, a clean sheet would be wonderful tomorrow. That always gives yourself a chance in any game. You're coming away with at least a point then, and then you got something you can build upon. And then you hope that you just take and create some chances that come your way in the game and maybe take all 3 points. But certainly the Southampton defence are going to have to be on their toes to keep West Ham's attacking threat at bay tomorrow.
Yeah. Out of those attacking players there, Oscar, we've got Bowen coming back into a bit of form as well. He's beginning to look dangerous. If you could pick one player to almost maintain or fear tomorrow, who would you choose? Who's the danger man?
I've got to say Scamacca. I think as a striker, he's going to score the majority of your goals in a season. I think, as Franny said, if we can keep a clean sheet, you're guaranteed at least a point. And that'll be invaluable for us. Just some points to get some points on the board, because I think we're one position off the relegation zone now. We're just in such a bad run of form. I mean, just to get a bit of momentum going. I think the last points we got was the Chelsea game. Correct me if I'm wrong, we played really, really well in that. And I think if we can get back to playing sort of games like that, and I think our defence did really well in that. But yeah, they just seem to have dropped off since then. And just, I mean, I heard something, been hearing stuff about Hasenhutl's lost the dressing room, and I don't know if that's true, but I mean, if he has, then I think his the number of games he's got left could be limited. Hopefully he hasn't, and hopefully we can sort of be able to get a result tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because we've brought in this huge abundance of players, and we're just trying to get it to gel together. We've got players like Downs who are trying to break through into the starting 11. And Budgie, do you think a player like Downs should be starting over Souček on Sunday, because he is offering everything he can, and put him alongside Declan Rice in midfield? And I don't think we're losing many midfield battles, to be honest.
No. I wanted to say, I noticed in the chat that my signal seems to have been dropping in and out. Changed over to my personal hotspot on phone. Hopefully it's a better signal. Yeah, I think we need to be giving Downs a little game time. And to be fair, with the centre-back issues that we are having, as displayed on Thursday night, David Moyes is not averse to putting Declan Rice back there. So that leaves the space for a youthful and very tidy midfielder, because that's what Flynn Downs is. He's very youthful and he's very tidy. And if he does choose to use Rice in the defensive line, then there's an opening there for Flynn Downs, and if he gets given that opportunity, I think he'll ever look back.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he could try that, worst comes to worst. You know, we don't want to be pushing Declan Rice back to centre back, but if worst comes to worst, then I think we might have to do that. Just a couple of questions for you, Franny, before we do let you go. Firstly, does Francis remember our poor little winger Paulo Futre?
Just what? Sorry, the West Ham winger. Yes, yeah, an interesting one. That's obviously a memory that someone's got when I received a red card after a challenge on him at away at West Ham that led to me receiving my marching orders. So yeah, I do remember him. Yes.
Very good. And James says, what do you think about Rav 2 wins and 25 and some very poor performances? Is it good enough? And I'll add on to that. Do you think if you don't pick up points tomorrow, do you think his management position is in threat?
No, I don't. I think like I say, we've got a World Cup break coming up in the not too far distant future. We've seen in the past that the board and owners won't make any real rash decisions. I think as long as, and Oscar touched on it, we're one place, or Budgie did maybe, we're one place above the relegation zone, which is not great. But you've got to think that we're still only, I think, something like 4 points off of 10th place. So as long as there's that tight sort of small number of points between the teams, and you're not getting cut adrift at all, then I think the owners will look to sort of stick with Ralph, see if he can turn things around, and as we've seen before, he's managed to pull out some results when he's needed them as a manager and as a team. So I'm hoping this week is going to be something where we see a bit of a turnaround, and then hopefully finish the rest of the month on a positive note.
Yeah, and just before I do let you go, Franny, give us a score prediction.
Well, I've got to go for a win, but I can't see us scoring a huge amount. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Southampton. Get that clean sheet that I've been talking about.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen, but I do like Southampton. It's near to us as well, so it's the easiest away day of the season, which we like to see. But yeah, we do like Southampton. Franny, thank you very much for coming on. Pleasure talking to you again.
You too, Jake. Take care, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Francis.
Care,
Catch you soon.
Nice chatting with you, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you very much to Franny. Honestly, if you're ever on a P&O cruise ship and he's on there, make sure you go to his talks, because the work he does with different charities, and just an overall nice guy. I did an interview which is actually up on the channel from a couple of months ago. I'll fetch the link for it. You can go and watch where I talk about Southampton, West Ham, and his charity work he does. So I'll find that and I'll put it into the chat.
It's a very good interview.
A little bit later. Honestly. Brilliant guy. But Oscar, coming to you, give us one player we should be looking out for tomorrow from this almost newly formed Southampton outfit.
Well, I'll tell you what, this could be quite difficult, because our starting 11 tends to chop and change a lot. So depending on who's playing, but I think if he's playing Joe Aribo, I think he can be dangerous. He's skillful on the ball. He's quick and he's strong. He don't give the ball away easily as well. He's not shoved off the ball easily. So I think he'll be quite dangerous, especially if you're missing a few defensive players and you got a couple of inexperienced defensive players at the back. Then I think he could be quite dangerous. But yeah, tomorrow. I think if we take our chances, we'll do all right, because we do create a lot of chances. It's just not taking them's the issue.
Yeah. I think that's the case for many sides, and do you think the almost Southampton fan base should be patient with it and just wait for things to gel, and then maybe, I think, because we did when we were 3 losses from 3, almost reassess things at the World Cup break. I think that's a fair reflection of time. If push comes to shove, you're still in this not very good position.
Yeah, I think you got to give him some time, and I know he's had a lot of time already. We've lost 9-0 twice. I don't know how many times I've heard that mentioned, but I think you give him till the World Cup break, and we'll have a few players gone off, but he'll still have sort of maybe a group there. Give him some time to sort of work things out, and if after we come back from the World Cup break we're still in this terrible run of form, we lose sort of 5 in a row, then maybe you look at it again and you assess his position. But I think give him time, because I think he's a good manager, and you look at some of the winning runs we've been on. If he can kickstart that, then that'll really push us up in the table. As Franny said, only about 4 points from 10th or something, so you go up very quickly in this league. Yeah,
and especially at the start of the season, a couple of wins takes you up 6 or 7 places at this stage of the season, because teams are so clumped up together. I don't really like paying too much attention to the Premier League table too near into the season. Only if we're at the top, I'll look at it, but if we're at the bottom, I just don't worry about it. But let's take some
selective blindness, Jake.
Yeah, well, we all do it, don't we? If we're at the top, we like looking at it. From the bottom, we just brush it off.
Never look down. Never look down. Upwards.
Let's take some comments. Kent says, you can already see Lucas Paqueta is a master of his craft. He's 2 steps ahead of many players, and he's just starting to sizzle. He is still giving the ball away quite a lot, and he's being nudged off the ball at times quite easily. Jake. Yeah, and he's offering something different.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he will set the league alight, and he will come to that 50 million price tag that we've paid for him. But I think
he's already looking the best part of the way there, though. Really, with the potential of what he's shown so far. I'm really impressed with him. Good.
Yeah, it's been good. Let's scroll down and take some of your comments. Keep commenting, guys. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to West Ham Unofficial if you are new. Phil says, I can't wait to see Flynn Downs as a first team regular. I'd really like to see him tomorrow, because then that means, because we play Sunday, Wednesday, which is a quick turnaround, we're up at Liverpool on Wednesday night, so you can't expect Rice and Soucek to play both of those games, I don't think. Let's use the rotation that's there, and let's start Flynn. Chucking Flynn Downs in Liverpool away is a little bit harsh, so I think tomorrow is the perfect opportunity for Flynn Downs to go in. Migsy says, let's be real here, Downs has had good games, yes, but look at the opposition. Last season Anderlecht's best player and manager left to further their careers in the Championship. It's a good point, but he's looked good and he's doing all he can at the moment. So I think he's warranted a start. Kent's talking about Downs as well. He says he's a great ticker of the ball. He keeps it and gives it. He's an underrated player. Not Flash, but everyone. But every team needs a Flynn Downs for sure. Let's have a look here. From us says, there is a chance though we can be a team that gets our managers fired 2nd game in a row. Yeah, because we got the Wolves manager fired by beating them. Would you be very
on that?
I knew he'd go back. I knew we'd go back there. It was just, one big
Mm.
triangle. But would you be very surprised, unless it's a big mauling tomorrow, that you do look to get rid of Hasenhüttl, Oscar?
I wouldn't go as far as say I'd be really surprised. I mean, I'd be slightly a bit, because it still is a bit early. And I mean, they've been very patient with him so far. But I just don't really think, unless we do get really beaten, and it wasn't a game that we even had any we even looked like scoring in, and we were just completely overrun, then maybe. But no, I don't. I think I would be quite surprised if he was sacked, to be honest.
Yeah. Terry says Downs looks like the real deal in time. Yeah, fair enough. Mike says, see you later, guys. Sunbed and Pira wait. Think we scrape a 2-1, but would take a point. Budgie, are you taking a point tomorrow if it's given to you now?
With all due respect, no, I'm not. No.
No, I agree.
No, I would not accept a point from any club other than Man City and Liverpool. That's it. They're the only two clubs that I would accept 1 point from in the whole of the league.
I'll tell you what, I like the attitude. People are firing in their predictions. I like it. 2-0 West Ham, 3-1 West Ham, 1-0, 2-0. So there's some positivity ringing around the place at the moment. James, got to be honest, West Ham on a good run. The Saints are quite depressed at the moment. We can't score, so I think West Ham could win. Fair enough, and it's honesty, which we like. I like it, James. I like it. Right then, let's scroll down on these comments. Paqueta can be just like the Felipe Anderson. Do you remember when Felipe Anderson ran that Southampton side ragged a couple of years ago? Could Paqueta do that tomorrow? You never know. Oh, Leicester 0, Palace 0. I bet that was riveting, man. Absolutely brilliant. Downs gives 100% because he wants to play for the first team. Suchek is now on autopilot until we increase his wage contract. Sad to say. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I 100% agree. And you can check out the Francis Benali interview by clicking the link after this show is finished if you want to go and watch that. It was a very, very good interview. Luke, hope you are well, sir.
Frankel's in the chat.
Frankel's in the chat, yeah. I didn't really want to mention that too much, but
I was trying to whisper.
Yeah. Phil says, who would Oscar like as the manager if Wreck-It Ralph got sacked?
Oh, don't know. I tell you what, a lot of them available at the moment are names I do not like the sound of. I mean, we were linked with I can't remember who now, it's gone out of my head, but someone that I didn't like. I mean, I'd like Pochettino, but
could you imagine that?
That's not going to happen. He's not going to come back. No, I don't really. Yeah, I don't really know. Tuchel maybe.
God, could you imagine that?
Nah, yeah, that's not happening. But no, I mean, I think it's rather who I wouldn't like. I definitely wouldn't like Allardyce. That's a big no. Steve Bruce, no. Mark Hughes, he's managing somewhere. But I mean, if we offered him to come back, I reckon he probably would. But any of those sort of managers are just no, because it's just
what
not.
About one of the younger up and coming managers, Oscar? Somebody let's say Scott Parker, Frank Lampard, Gerrard, any of those guys.
I wouldn't like Gerrard. I think Gerrard was an appointment on what he has done rather than. Yeah. I don't think he's that brilliant of a manager. I mean, Scott, I would like to see us try an upcoming manager just to see how it went with because we got a new team. See if he could build them into a good, strong side, a competitive Premier League side. But yeah, I don't know. I really do. I'm a fan of Hasenhüttl and I would like to see him stay. But yeah, if he does go, just as you mentioned, Budgie, probably a new one rather than like Allardyce or something. That'd be terrible if we pointed out.
Yeah, I mean there are some very, very good managers, up and coming managers down in the Championship. Liga and plays like that. There's a lot of great young managers around, and I think that the Premiership needs more of them, if I'm honest with you, because the younger managers have a new and fresh thinking towards the game. I mean, like we've, as West Ham fans, we've kind of got fed up with the stagnating play that we've been displaying recently, up until very recently. The same lineup week in and week out, same tactics week in, week out. the same formation, same, everything. And I think that's because we've got a more mature manager who is kind of set in his ways, etc. Whereas, you look at someone like Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, I think we've lost you there, Budgie, or is that me?
No, I can't hear mine.
Budgie, I'm just going to kick you out, and we'll try and get you back in. Honestly, we're live. Just looking at your lineup from the Man City game. Obviously, the name there is James Ward-Prowse. Has he lived up to expectations at the start of the season? But we all know he can pluck something out of the bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he definitely hasn't lived up to expectations. I don't think he hasn't been very good this season to start with. But I don't think anyone has. I think people have impressed in games. As I said, Bella Kotchap's been very impressive in games. Recently hasn't been as good. Lavia, he's injured at the moment. Young central midfielder, played really, really well against Chelsea. But I don't think anyone's been very, very good the whole way through the season. I'd like to see something different than just Adam Armstrong and Shea Adams up front. I'd like to maybe see Mara given another start. And I know against Everton, he was started and he was pretty non-existent. But I'd just like to see just a bit of something different to see if he can actually put a ball in the back of the net, which, frankly, Shea Adams and Adam Armstrong are not very good at doing. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty much the same. Back four. I like Salisu and Bella Kotchap, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did put one of the more experienced older centre-backs in there, because they are both under 22. So that is, and if you got a couple of centre-backs like that, that's bound to lead to some mistakes just due to lack of experience. And maybe I think we might see a change with who's going to play with Ward-Prowse. I mean, it was Diallo in the Everton game. He wasn't brilliant. It's just we have a lot of options which we haven't had in the past now. So it'll be interesting to see who does play tomorrow. But I mean, the main thing's getting a point or 3 points, which I mean I can't see us doing. I don't really care who starts.
Yeah. Kind of in terms of our West Ham's sort of frailties at the back, do you think that that could be a reason why Hasenhüttl might change it? Because at the moment, the situation we've got, Craig Dawson has got a dead leg, so we're not sure whether he's going to play. Zuma's got the flu, so we're not sure whether he's going to play. Ogbonna's injured, pretty much, we'd say. So we're kind of left with Kehrer as our lone centre back at the moment, which means we are going to have to shift it around. Do you think that gives you more confidence in terms of, we are going to have to make a makeshift defence, which could, lead Declan Rice coming back to centre-back, as Budgie said earlier, which almost weakens our midfield as well. So I think that does play in your hands slightly as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then I think it'll be dependent on what you're looking like. Because I think if Rice is going to drop back into defence, we might go a bit more midfield heavy just to try and dominate the midfield. But I think, obviously, I'm not in the mind of Hasenhüttl, but if it were me, I would just maybe put a sort of a defensive midfielder in there, because our defense is looking shaky, really. We've conceded a lot of goals. We haven't kept a clean sheet this season, so I think just shore up the defense, and we can, if even need be, we can just sort of play on the counter attack. Most of our strikers are quick. Adam Armstrong's quick, Mara's quick. Possibly we might go really attacking, but I can't really see that the way results have been going recently. I think Hasenhüttl will want to not concede a lot of goals, which could happen if we go very heavily on attack.
Yeah. In terms of kind of battles, how key do you think almost the midfield battle is? Because we are, West Ham have been renowned for obviously Declan Rice in midfield, which is a massive player. He hasn't got up to the heights that he did last year, and I don't really think he's got to his full potential yet this season. But he's still a massive player that I think every team should be feared of, and he goes unnoticed when people mention West Ham nowadays. Declan Rice is just a normal, it's casual, it's normal. How much of a big player do you think Rice, especially if he tries to go forward, if he's in midfield?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he is. I can remember he does score quite frequently against us, which I don't think he scores much, but
No, he doesn't. No.
he always seems to score against us. But I think midfield battles be huge. We were completely overrun against City in the midfield. We were completely overrun against Everton in the midfield. We've struggled in midfield this season. That just means if you're getting overrun in midfield, you're defending all the time, and if you're defending all the time, then the other team's attacking all the time. Naturally, they're going to score more goals. So I think that will be key. I think it'll be a massive boost for us if Rice does have to drop into defence, because that does significantly weaken your midfield. And if we can have some control in the midfield, and I think that will play a part. And I think we need to be a bit more physical in midfield, I think, because Diallo is not a physical player. Well, Prowse isn't particularly. And that was where Romeu was good. And I know he probably passed it this season, but he was that physical player who never afraid to put in a really strong challenge. But I think midfield will be the key tomorrow.
Yeah. We're gonna bring Budgie back in. Just coming off the back of what Oscar said there, where do you think the game could be almost won or lost tomorrow? You know, Oscar's mentioned the frailties of almost both midfields if Rice has got to push back and Southampton haven't been great there. Where do you think the game's won or lost tomorrow, Budgie?
I think he's bang on right. I think the midfield is key. I think that the defensive line is key as well for us. As you said, we're struggling to have fit centre backs. Excuse me. And we may have to, as suggested earlier, we may have to put Rice in now. And as Oscar said, it will significantly weaken the midfield. But with the right player there to replace Declan Rice, it should be manageable. Someone like Flynn Downs would make it manageable. I have to say, he's very good on the ball. He's patient, and he doesn't flap. He doesn't panic when the ball's coming to him or he's got it in his possession. He's quite a calm player, and I think he may help to balance that out if we do have to put Rice back.
I agree. Luke says we have to win, otherwise I'll never hear the end of it. Yeah, you are quite near the old Southampton territories, aren't you, down there, Luke? So you probably would never hear the end of it. You're right. 3-0 says Happy Hammer. Hopefully, that's optimistic away from home, but I like it. Will says, why is Northampton so far from Southampton? It doesn't make sense. If you're travelling from there tomorrow, you've got a fair way to go. I love Southampton away because it's just it's just get in the car. It's like an hour and a bit down there, and it's just brilliant. What an away day! We love it. Let's scroll down. Neil, hope you well. Afternoon all from rural South Australia at midnight on a Saturday night. Can't sleep, Neil, or you just wanted to watch us? Whichever option, fair enough. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming in, mate. I hope you are well. Let's scroll down on some of these comments. Where are we? Luke says Adams can't score. Is what he said. Is that the sort of issue that it's just goals? You brought in Armstrong, which we were linked with. How's he gone? Because we were actually heavily linked with him. Has he been good or not?
He's not really what we wanted. I mean, obviously we bought him in, I think, to try and replace Ings, and he's a different player. He's more of a support. I think when we play Armstrong and Adams up front, we have two supporting strikers there, and they're not, as I said, they're not going to score you 25 goals in a season. It's just, he's not really, I think he's not quite up to Premier League standard. He's quick, he makes good runs, he's got the right ideas. He's not composed or calm enough in front of goal. He seems to panic and, just miss sitters, really, golden chances. And Adams, I think Adams is the same, but Adams is a player who will miss the easiest chance and then pop up with a wonder goal, but that's not really what you want because he'll only score a few wonder goals a season. And you want him scoring a lot more than that as a Premier League striker. And I think that is a massive part of where I think all over the pitch we've had problems, but I think that is, if you can't score goals, you're not going to win games. As simple as that. So,
Yeah. Budgie, one player that you think is going to be key for West Ham tomorrow?
I think Declan Rice is going to be key. depending on where he's played.
Where he plays, yeah.
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 If he plays in the centre of midfield as normal, then he will be key to moving the ball forward and progressing up the pitch. If he's played in central defence, like we suspect he may be, then it's going to be key as to whether he can control that back line as well as he does the midfield line. So, I think he's going to be really essential for us tomorrow in whatever position he plays. And also you got to remember, that there are certain players at Southampton that are extremely good with the dead ball. And we need to watch out for those as well, especially with Fabianski in goal, which I suspect we will start with.
Yeah.
Not so good from the set plays as Areola.
Yeah.
So that's something that Southampton may try to exploit. But I think Declan Rice is going to be key tomorrow. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just before we come on to predictions, and guys in the chat, whack your predictions in the chat again. If you've already put them in, whack them in again. We'll just fire on through them. Goal scorers, if you like, as well. The full Monty. But just before we come on to your predictions, Oscar, you play Bournemouth midweek. How big of a game is that? And do you think it's crucial that you get a bit of confidence out of that game, because realistically you should be beating a side like Bournemouth? And do you think it's key that you try and build up some confidence for that ahead of Wednesday night?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'd like to win that. I mean, the Bournemouth fans, I think they make it more than the Saints see it. They're like, oh, it's a massive derby. Saints fans, Pompey's our derby, really, not Bournemouth. Not too bothered. It's just another Premier League game, but of course, we'd like to win it. And I think, we should. Of course, we should be beating Bournemouth, really. So it would be good just to get a little bit of momentum going into that game. And as Budgie said about our set pieces, I mean, we have been woeful defending set pieces this season. I think we're the worst team in the league for set pieces this season, or the joint worst team in the league. We just we're all over the shop defensively. Free kick, corner, whenever anything. It's just we can't seem to defend set pieces. So yeah.
Hopefully we can get Skamaka and hopefully Dawson if he starts. I'll tell you what, this is a bit of the Dawson derby, because I think it was Southampton we played when he first came, where he first played for West Ham, and that was the famous kick Che Adams in the head game. That was
remember that.
That was funny. That was funny indeed. But yeah, get all your predictions in the chat. I can already see some very interesting predictions, so we'll scroll to the top and have a little look at them. Before we do, some final comments. James says the Saints missing Brozier, not been replaced, and of course things. Yeah, I forgot about Brozier, obviously. Sitting on the bench now at Chelsea.
Did score
frustrating. He did score his first goal with Chelsea. Frustrating that you couldn't get him, Oscar.
Yeah, slightly. I mean, I don't think ever I really thought that we were going to get him back after what he'd done. I don't think he particularly wanted to stay, permanently sign for Saints, because he knew that he would probably go on to bigger things. I think the Ings as well, that's a bit annoying, because I don't know where he's at Villa at the moment. I think he starts the odd game, but he's not really.
Game,
yeah, and I think. Yeah, obviously I'd say this, but I think he would be doing better here, because he'd be starting every game, scoring a lot. He was in great form, and he is really what we're missing. Both of them are. Yeah.
Luke says, I assume there's a branded West Ham unofficial minibus. Well, no, it's in the works, so don't worry about that. We're going to get a minibus. No, we're really not. The car will do. Chris, hope you're Leicester ITV. Big up, Hamas. Thank you very much. Have you got your Bye Bye Brendan mug and your Bye Bye Brendan banner out yet, Chris, or is it not quite to that extent? Because I've seen a couple of your Twitter posts where I saw you were quite animated. I think it was it was 0-0 in the end. Crikey, we were the better team, but could still be playing when you kick off and we won't score. We all feel like that sometimes. Right, let's get through some predictions then. 2-1. Dodged a bullet with Armstrong. I think we have 2-2. Gineppo out as a bonus. Illness, I saw. Is that right, or?
Ooh, I'm not sure. Probably he does get ill quite a lot, but I mean, he's playing very well in pre-season. I don't think he's played okay in a couple of games. He hasn't particularly impressed me, and I'm not absolutely like not raging that he's not going to play. I'm not annoyed really. It's just we do have options there. I mean, he's obviously in some sort of form, but I think we got plenty of other players in that position who can do a perfectly good job.
Yeah. Budgie, I'm going to come to your prediction then. Prediction, goal scorers, and anything else in between?
I think it won't be as cut and dried as some of our fans have thought. 2-1. Scorers, Skamaka and Bowen. Pretty safe bet.
Standard, I think that's safe. Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with, but of course we can't have the same prediction because that's not how these things work. Because that's boring. So I'm gonna have to think of another prediction now, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's fine. Don't worry. James has gone 5-5. Now there won't be too many people betting on that for this game, that's for sure. Defensively, you could probably make an argument for it, but attacking wise, not quite sure for both sides.
Yeah.
Happy Amaret says, do you think there's any chance Harrison Ashby could get a game at right back in the last couple of Conference League games, possibly in this? I don't think he stands a chance, to be honest.
No, not in the Premier League.
No, I don't think so. 3-1 to West Ham, says Luke. Go one down because we're more. Fair enough. 4-2 West Ham, says Adam. Only thing that could ruin it tomorrow is VAR. All I want tomorrow is a win, some sunshine, and no VAR drama. Well, it would look quite good on the thumbnail and the title of the vlog, but we don't really want that anyway. We don't want that. We don't want any VAR drama. Let's have a look here. Lee, hope you cheers, Jake, Budgie, and Oscar. Great interview with Francis Benali. Have a great day, everyone. Coming on. So we are massive 2-0 West Ham. It's very safe. 3-0 to the Cockney boys, says Happy Hammerat. I've been Brendan out for 10 games. Well, have you designed your banner and is it ready to go, Chris? Is it ready to go with your 300 other pieces of Leicester memorabilia? If the Spuds win 14-0 later, they go second. Wow. Who are they playing? I don't know who they're playing. They're not going with 14 now. Let's scroll down. And the Hampshire Air, Jake. No, Southampton, mate, isn't it? Southampton. 4-0 West Ham, says Sam. I'd like that. I think we're going to batter a side. Whether it's going to be Southampton, I'm not sure. Defensively, I think they will score. I don't think we're going to batter them, but I think we're going to win 3-1. Let's reverse what happened in the FA Cup last season. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be either an Adams or an Armstrong goal because they don't score many goals, so they're bound to score against us. I think it's going to be Skamaka. I'm feeling a Rice goal and maybe a Paqueta debut. A Paqueta first goal for West Ham as well. Oscar, shed us some Southampton optimism then, if you've got any.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go a bit ridiculous and say 2-1 Saints. I mean, doesn't sound ridiculous, but the way we're playing at the moment, it is. I think Rice will score. You guys, no, sorry. I think we'll score 2 goals first, be 2-0 up, then you'll score, and it'll be a really cagey last 20 minutes, and we'll hang on. I think Rice will score because I don't know why, but he always seems to score against us. And I think, as you said, I think Adams will score. I don't know why. And I think Ward-Prowse will score a penalty. I reckon there will be some VAR drama.
Yes. When's there not? That's the question. When is there not? Spurs v Toffees later. Oh, it's Fat Frank. They can do what they like. 0-1, squeaky bum time, says James. We have the ability to be awful, though this worries me. That's a very good point. This has got the ability to be an average Premier League game, a really, really exciting game with 2 poor defenses, or a really, really boring game with no quality at all. It could be, and it wouldn't surprise me whether it's at any end of the spectrum. You know, it's really quite difficult to predict. James says, notice the closed block tomorrow. Saints have closed a block where the Saints fans have been too rowdy. I didn't know that. Been too rowdy. Crikey.
Don't know what they've been rowdy about.
That's a good point. 3-1 West Ham, 1-0 Saints. If it's 1-0 tomorrow, then we might be taking a bit of annual leave from West Ham away days. Because if you know, 1-0 West Ham, that's what we want. 1-0 West Ham on the way up now. That's what we like to see. VAR is fine with a bigger team, so it will be us that gets the ref's advantage. Well, I wouldn't put it past them doing anything, but that's probably the logical thing, which is not what we want to see at all. But right, let's move on to some final thoughts. Budgie, I'll start with you. Some final thoughts for the game?
David Moyes has got to be adventurous tomorrow. He's got to allow his team to play. He's got to allow them kind of a free rein, because if he regiments them too much, Saints will be all over him.
Yeah.
Because, not being funny, when he regiments the squad, regardless of who the personnel is on pitch, the opposition tend to have the measure of us, So if he just allows them, like Paqueta, Skamaka, Bowen, I'm hoping he starts with Ben Rama out on the left. If he gives them a free rein to interact and just play their game, I think, I think we've got a good chance of dominating the game.
Yeah. David Moyes being adventurous. Have you already started? I tell you what, let's bite this up. He's been a little bit adventurous in the last couple of weeks, especially in Europe. He's pushed the boat out a bit, which is interesting for him. But Oscar, your final thoughts?
I think for Saints, I think where the game will be won and lost tomorrow is our attacking and our ability to score goals and take chances. And I think if we can take chances, I think we'll do all right. And I think that we really do need a point, or just a point or three, just to kickstart our season a bit, because we've been pretty dire in recent games. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Southampton could be on the up. I hope not. I hope we beat you tomorrow. But good luck for the rest of the season, Oscar. My sort of roundup of it is we've got to start quickly. We've been starting slowly in too many games as of late. We're letting teams in and let them dictate what they want to. So we've got to start quickly. We've got to get the link up between Skamaka, Paqueta, Bowen, and whoever else is there. And then I think we'll do okay. I think we beat them if we're on our day. But I hope everybody watching has enjoyed. We've done a bit of a long, special, extended preview. Thank you very much for Francis Benali for coming on later. Honestly, top bloke. And yeah, thank you very much for him for coming on. And Budgie and Oscar for being here as well. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Jake.
From me and Budgie, come on, you Irons, and we'll catch you soon right here on West Ham Official. There'll be no build-up show tomorrow. There'll be a road trip, and there will be a vlog. Budgie.
Good spelling, by the way. Very good spelling.
More.
The correct spelling.
More. Very good. Very good link. Yeah. We like more. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. We'll catch you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers, Oscar.